So, what's up? Today we got Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 1, Episode 1, The Boy in the Iceberg. So, new show. We are starting a new show today. This is actually one of my friend Yusha's favorite shows. So, I'm only doing it for him. I'm doing it for I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for the entire Avatarians who like this show. I've never seen it. I've only seen I've seen the episode that we're about to watch. I only saw a bit of it, but I currently just watched the entire episode. So let's get into this first episode for Avatar: The Last Airbender. So there's like a lot of fire, water, earth, and fire, water, earth, and air. And you only need fire and heart, form Captain Planet. And so there was this avatar that legend speaks of was help the people, but one day the avatar just disappeared, and the Fire Nation attacked. The avatar just disappeared, like he just decided to say see ya and bail on the entire village. And 100 years. So who's narrating this is Katara, and she's with her brother Sokka, Sokka, and tell me if that's the name, because there's probably gonna be a lot of you naming because I've never seen this show before. So, and so they're just when Katara tries to practice her water bending powers, and Sokka's like, why is every time you have to your water bending power, he always gets wet. So he decides to be rude to her, saying how women do nothing, and then she just gets mad at him, saying how he's just a sexist guy, but how ever since their parents died, she had to do everything, clean his clothes and do everything. But that's when an iceberg, and who's in there but a boy, and a boy's in there, and Katara sees this, and Sokka's like, oh no, Katara, that could be bad news. But when they they meet Aang, the main character, and the Avatar, who is in an iceberg with his friend Appa, and then Katara Sokka is like, not Sakura, that's Naruto. Sokka is like, hey, see ya, I'm just gonna go back to when things make sense. And because Aang flew up, sneezed, and flew into the sky and came right back down, and none of that's happened. So so they're like, how are you supposed to get home? So they take Appa, and as they're flying, Katara asks him about has he ever seen the Avatar? And he's like, no. He's met friends that knows the Avatar, but he doesn't know him himself. So he falls asleep and dreams about, getting trapped in an ice block, and that's when next day he's in the village, and he's in the village already, and Katara wakes him up to meet all of her friends. So that's when we also meet Zuko, who is voiced by Jake Long from American Dragon Jake Long. If you've ever heard that show, which was one of my favorite childhood shows, but the actor who voices him voices Zuko. So Zuko's grandfather is just like, hey Zuko, you should just have some tea. And he's like, I don't want tea, I want to find the Avatar. And he's like, not your father, your great grandfather, or your father never did. They all failed. And he's like, they didn't have like honor or something. So So yeah. So back at the village, Aang meets all the villagers, and they're kind of scared because they haven't seen an avatar in 100 years, and and yeah, so they haven't seen Avatar in 100 years. So then what happened? So then he fly, and Sokka decides to be a jerk and be like, "Hey, what's this? It's just a stick. Are you gonna attack someone with this?" And he's like, "It's not a poking stick. It's an airbending stick." And he glides up, and one kid's like, "He's flying," and and yeah, so and then and then and then Sokka tries to teach the kids how to be warriors, and because their fathers are in the war, and then one of the kids like, "I gotta pee," and then he's like, who else got pee?" And they all gotta go pee. So that's when they hang out. And what's his But that's not the name. That's the terrible Shyamalan name. Aang is like doing the whole thing of like, is like until he sees a 4-armed penguin. What? Penguins only have 2 arms, not 4. And so he's like, "Hey, you have fun with the penguin. You can teach me how to water bend." And he's like, "Katara, I'm an airbender, not a waterbender." So 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 he's like, "I'm an airbender, not a water bender. So I'm an airbender, not a water bender." And he's like, "Can anyone in your tribe teach you?" And she's like, "No." So so they go into this cave. And he's like, Aang's never heard of this war that they keep talking about. And Katara comes to terms that Aang must have been sleeping on that iceberg for 100 years. And he's like, "Really? Does he look like a 102-year-old man? He's still a kid." And he's like, "Aang, you could have been in that iceberg. You could have skipped down the 100 years, but you could have still been in that iceberg unaffected." So then Zuko's like, "Wake up, his grandfather. I found the Avatar." Ending the episode. So, first episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I really enjoy the show. This has a really good premise of a young kid who's in an iceberg who just wakes up one day thinking he was a few years. He woke up a few days later, but no, he woke up 100 years later. Like, whoa, show my own. And so thank you. So maybe just like Attack on Titan, another one of my friend Ichi's favorite shows I'll get into. So see you next Friday for episode 2 of Avatar. So we'll watch episode 2 next time. But remember, let the power of airbending protect you.